We preview the Atlanta Falcons season and tell you if they're going over or under 4.5 wins. And we let you know how you could win $1,000 this NFL season. And it all starts right now. What's going on, everyone? It's Matt from Grandstand Bettors, and last season we cashed on 70% of our season win total predictions, so we thought to ourselves, why not run it back here in 2022? And we're also excited to announce that our second annual NFL betting contest is now open at grandstandbettors.com. It's absolutely free, so go sign up today for your chance to take home $1,000 of cold hard cash or other great prizes this NFL season. But without further ado, make sure you hit the subscribe button, smack that like button, because it is time to dive into the Atlanta Falcons season preview. And the Falcons, they have a season win total of under 4.5 this year. The Falcons actually surprised us a bit last season, finishing up at 7-10, but let's be honest, that was all thanks to quarterback Matt Ryan, who they are now going to be playing without this season. After losing him in free agency to the Colts, the Falcons did pick up Marcus Mariota from the Raiders to get them through the season as they get their third-round draft pick, Desmond Ridder, ready for NFL play. Now, for this season, though, they're not looking good for the Falcons on paper. After losing Julio Jones a season ago, they've now lost Calvin Ridley this season to a suspension for gambling on NFL games. Don't even get us started on that. And then they lost their next best wide receiver, Russell Gage, to the Bucs in free agency. Now, Mariota isn't horrible, but this guy hasn't played in more than 10 games since 2018 with the Titans. He definitely will have to shake off some rust as the season starts, but his receiving core on this team, it's not going to help his situation. Their starting wide receivers right now are rookie Drake London, Zacchaeus, and Bryan Edwards, who is coming off a shoulder injury. Together, these guys have only been a combined 5 years in the league, and in those 5 years, Zacchaeus and Edwards, they only have over 1,500 receiving yards total. Now, one of these guys that may have a good season, one of these guys might have a good season, but none of them are really going to fill up the stat sheets. They're going to need probably a huge output by their tight end, Kyle Pitts, who in 2021 only ended up with 1 touchdown and 68 receptions, but he did have 1,000 yards receiving. Now, if he can become a bigger presence in the red zone for Mariota, that should help this offense be a bit of a bright spot near the goal line. But another issue that they have is their run game. And if they don't have a run game, defenses are just going to sit back on the passing. Patterson, they led their team last year in rushing with 618 yards, and they were 31st in the NFL with only averaging 85 rushing yards per game. Now, they're going to be stuck with Patterson for one more season as they were not able to get a good back out of this year's draft. Unless, who knows, the Browns trade maybe Hunt to them, but that's another story for a different day. Defensively, though, the Falcons also struggled last season, and things don't look any better here in 2022. They gave up 364 yards per game and were 29th in points given up, with giving up 27 per game. They also had 20 takeaways last year, and their best defensive player, Oluokun, in free agency, he is now gone. He had 192 tackles for them last season and led the team with 3 interceptions as a linebacker. Not re-signing that guy was basically waving a white flag for the defense, and there were several people that left as well off the defense we won't even get into. The worst part of their defense last season, though, was their pass rush. They only had 18 sacks all season, which was by far the worst in the league. They literally only had about 1 sack per game, and that is just awful. They used 3 of their draft picks this season on outside linebackers and edge rushers to help this, but they're going to need a lot more help than a couple of rookies to fix that problem. With all the time opposing quarterbacks had to throw the ball, their secondary actually last season was pretty decent. Only 232 passing yards per game, which was 18th in the league, and they are going to need to build on that for any success this season if they're going to have a somewhat competitive defense. At the end of the day, though, if the Falcons are going to be competing for the first overall pick of the draft, you would have to think that they're going to go under the 4.5 wins. So as much as we like Marcus Mariota and are a little happy to see him back playing on a regular basis in the NFL, we just can't see anything happening with the offense or the defense that this team has. So we are going to take the Atlanta Falcons under the 4.5 wins. Now, we will continue the rest of the NFC South this week and finish up the NFC West and the Cleveland Browns, which we haven't done yet because we're still waiting on Deshaun Watson and what's happening with him. Well, I promise you, we'll get to the Cleveland Browns eventually. In the meantime, though, don't forget to sign up for that NFL betting contest over at grandstandbettors.com. We are giving out great quarterly prizes again this year, and our grand prize of $1,000 is going again to someone, so make sure you're signed up. As always, though, sit back, relax, and if you're a Falcons fan, might be a good year to invest in 17 great bottles of scotch.